Be Mine, Chapter 7. The garden was so expertly composed of luxurious foliage, deep textures and colors, that it could only have been created by a combination of great skill and wealth. However, apparent neglect hung like a veil over the whole garden, as the trees and flowers and hedges had not been properly shaped for some time. Still, it was the variety of colors that excited him. Victor felt like he was enveloped in a fairy tale garden, with all sizes of trees and bushes, efflorescent blooms, interspersed with many elegant statues of high quality, including life-sized wooden carved animals, which lined the meandering stream. At the end of the garden was a gazebo covered in green ivy that would change colors with the seasons. Captivated by the garden's vast beauty, Victor wished he could reside there instead of the foreboding castle. Just then, as slight as a ghost floating between the trees, appeared the haunting white figure of the young countess. Victor remembered what the Count had told him about her reclusive life and concluded she must truly be a different type of person to hide herself even in her own garden from the teacher that she had desired to come. He turned back to the castle to gather his art supplies. As Victor passed by the parlor, he nearly collided with the Count, who was frantically rushing by. "The time to begin the lesson passed long ago," sizzled the Count, without pausing to even look at Victor. Victor stopped and bowed, faced the retreating Count with a calm demur, and said, "I am very happy to see you this morning, Count. Last night I forgot to ask you if you had gathered the proper supplies for Anna's lessons, such as canvas, brushes, easels, and paints." "Yes, I certainly did. Nikita knows where to find all of this, Mr. Bruslovsky," he said with an intense sternness. "Very well. Farewell, good Count. Fine day to you," Victor replied respectfully. "In parting, Mr. Bruslovsky, you will dine each evening with my daughter Anna and the Countess, as I am leaving you for quite some time. I conduct business in many places. Throughout the year I am away," he said as he stomped out the door. Victor could barely hold back his pleasure. How wonderful not to see that dismal face continually. Nikita appeared and was eager to be of assistance, but Victor had boldly changed his lesson plan, since he now was free from the Count's scrutiny. "Why do I need to be bothered with cumbrous supplies today? I must first get acquainted with my shy student. I must inquire about her current painting knowledge and artistic desires. Does she want to be an artist or just try her hand freely with colors? Artist and pianist must first determine their vision for attainment before committing adequate effort, so that they will be satisfied with their achievement levels. Pianists must give birth to the music from inside. In the same way, the artist composes in his mind exactly what he wishes to paint," he thought to himself. "Nikita, for the first lesson we will be next to the fountain. Could you please bring 2 chairs and then call Anna for me?" Victor gave his first request in the manner in which he was accustomed to, and walked back to the garden. The young Countess did not make him wait long. When Victor saw her, he jumped from the chair, came quickly to greet her. "Good morning, young Countess." Victor bowed his head. "How did you sleep?" he inquired gently. "Thank you, very well," answered Anna. "How did you sleep in your new lodging?" she asked the young in similar pleasant voice. "I was so weary from my journey that I would have definitely overslept, but thank goodness Nikita remembered to come for me for my morning preparation in time. It seems you are also an early bird. I saw you flitting about the garden," added Victor. At the mention of this, she bowed her head and blushed. "Yes, I was in the garden, but I have no desire to talk about that now," whispered the young countess. "Well, come then, let's start our lesson." Victor changed the subject. "Before we do anything else, we must get to know one another as teacher and student. Painting is like poetry and music. It comes from the condition of the artist's soul. Paintings will be created from your thoughts and dreams. So tell me about your life. What do you desire? What are your life experiences?" added Victor as he brought his chair close to his student. "Oh, I'm sorry, I have no idea where to start," whispered Anna, barely moving her lips with her head still down and blushing deeply. "Today would be an impossible lesson for me to begin that way, Mr. Blavatsky. Let's do something else," she pleaded. "Very well, if you do not wish to explore the depths of true painting," he said musingly. "Truly, I have mercy on me," she said, with tears in her voice. Victor got up and took her hand, intending to look fully in her eyes, but suddenly something unexpected happened. Anna shot up from her chair and ran deep into the garden. Victor was stunned and confused by such behavior from the countess. He could not understand what he had done to offend this young lady. He pursued her, taking many paths trying to find her. He could hear her but not see her. And then he saw a tiny trail which led him to the edge of the garden, to a small wooden Orthodox church. Victor went toward the church, drawn more by curiosity, not really thinking he would find Anna there. Victor's family attended Orthodox services only on holidays, out of respect for cultural tradition in Poland, and to join with their neighbors. When he touched the handle of the church door, something much bigger than curiosity stirred in his chest. He barely became anxious, as if trespassing like a thief. He wanted to turn back to leave this eerie, strange place when suddenly he heard two voices, a male and a female. The female's voice was very young, but so soft Victor could not identify it. He decisively opened the door and found himself in a remarkably glowing, out-of-this-world place. Radiant beams of sunlight streamed from ceiling-high windows and played upon the painted faces of the holy saints. The icons were flecked with gold, which covered everything. Victor was taken aback in awe when he sensed a strange warmth in his chest, which he had never had experienced before. The smell of incense, together with burning candles, made him dizzy and seemed to be urging him to kneel and pray. His eyes fell on the two figures who were sitting in the corner. It was an old priest and the young countess. Her head was in his lap, and his hand was stroking her hair. Her body shook as she convulsively cried, while the priest continued to soothe and console her, though he had stopped speaking. Her curls scattered over her shoulders, obliviously in disarray from her flight, and her tresses were illuminated by the dancing light that bounced from the icons to her delicate, frail body, which seemed so tiny and angelic. Victor now recognized how small Anna was, almost childlike. His heart went out to her, and he had compassion for her great pain, even though he was not able to understand why she was so crushed. The priest looked up, inviting Victor to come closer. "Come, my son, I have a word for you." Victor hesitated, not knowing quite what to do. So silently he came towards them. At that moment, the young countess lifted her head and tried to speak, but her face was still distorted from inner pain, so once again she collapsed upon the priest's lap. Young countess, what has happened? Who hurt you, countess? And why did you run from the lesson? I don't understand, asked Victor in astonishment. The priest raised his hand to silence Victor. As for you, young man, you don't need to understand everything in an instant. You touched her soul, and this is something that God does not wish us to do carelessly. God only allows his servants at special moments to touch the soul of human beings. Touching someone's soul can heal or hurt. Go in peace and try to forget everything you have seen today, and Anakushka will come later. Tomorrow you will continue your lessons. I hope, instructor, that today you yourself have received a lesson, he concluded. Victor left them quite perplexed. He meandered slowly back to the castle, pondering the thoughts which beat against his mind. He had left home to begin a new adventure in life as an art instructor, which he had felt prepared for, but the staggering situation in which he found himself goaded him to explore mysteries he was not certain how to face. Logic warned him, Victor, go back immediately to your own home, to your own family, which is so understanding and loves you so much. He remembered one of his mother's wise sayings. Usually, what we don't understand seems to strongly attract like a magnet, and what is secretly hidden will scream out to us boldly. So true, thought Victor. He decided to stay and await the next lesson to learn more about Anna, the young countess. Is she a spoiled, deranged person, or is something most precious and intelligible hidden inside of her, he mused. He determined he needed to understand more about Anna. Victor was met by Nikita as he entered the castle. Please inform the Countess Nezhetsky that I will not be dining with them tonight, and ask them to forgive my absence. Then have my dinner brought up to my room, please. Victor tried to read and paint that evening, but everything felt aimless. He was not able to concentrate. The evening seemed endless, but finally he fell asleep. He awoke to Nikita's presence in his room the next day. After breakfast, and in a very good mood, he decided that there would be no lesson again, but instead he would start to paint a portrait of the young countess himself while she watched. Victor's experience told him that a subject usually revealed their true characteristics while posing still for hours. So with discretion, Victor would be able to study his mysterious student. Young Countess Anna could not make him wait, but instead directly came to the veranda just as Victor was finishing his breakfast. He stood and bowed nobly before her with a soft, pleasant smile to assure her that Anna would not need to be worried about what happened yesterday, nor would he question her odd behavior. Spontaneously, they greeted each other with the same words, which made them both laugh. Victor's laugh was robust, contagious, open, and filled with the joys of life, while Anna's laugh was absolutely different. Mostly just a wide smile, followed by bursts of air to cover something hidden. Both of them were taken aback. Victor very gallantly took her hand and briefly kissed it. Anna's face flamed, yet she found this courteous, forward behavior of her teacher very pleasant. I have a new proposition for you, Countess, Victor said, smiling. And I have a new one for you too, Anna said. Well, I'm the instructor, so I have the right to speak first. I offer to you my hand in friendship. And now I am ready to listen to your proposition, retorted Victor with a laugh. I will receive your hand because it will be much easier for me to walk when I lean on your arm, said Anna. But about our friendship, it is too early to say. My proposition to you, my teacher, is to accompany me on a long stroll as I describe our intricate surroundings to you. Are you in agreement? Of course, dear young Countess. Thank you for your kind invitation and for receiving my hand, Victor said playfully. He understood from this brief conversation that the young Countess was not as young as he had thought. She is much more mature. Anna took Victor's arm and they set out for the gardens through the white birch lane. Anna had an explanation about everything. Every statue, every tree, and pond held meaning in her life and some history among her mother's relatives. It seemed as if she was an intricate part of these natural surroundings. Her stories were so interesting that Victor lost track of time. When they found themselves in front of the church where Victor had seen Anna so vulnerable, her countenance immediately changed from joy, and she was filled with remorse. What has happened, young Countess? Is it upsetting for you to be here? Victor asked with tenderness and care. No, Mr. Bobzlowski. This is my best loved place, where I would like to spend all my days, but I am not allowed to be here as I wish. Papa very strongly forbids me to go to this church or the nearby monastery more than once a week, and usually it is on Sunday when my mamma accompanies me, Anna explained. Victor saw a little bench under the weeping willow and invited Anna to sit down. It seemed like she was anticipating this repose, and with a sigh she sat beside him. He continued to gently hold her hand on his arm. He turned towards her, and with a sincere voice he said, Thank you, Countess. Thank you. Thank you so much for this glorious morning. But now I would like to talk with you about something else. Anna jerked her hand and became tense as a violin string. Victor felt though at any moment she would run and flee him as she had yesterday by the fountain. For this reason, or perhaps not knowing why, he drew closer, lifting her hand, and very tenderly, just barely touching his lips, he kissed it once more. He wanted Anna to return to her former light-hearted state of mind. Countess, may I now share with you a little about myself? My own dear family lives in Krakow, so perhaps you can understand that I am quite alone here. This transition has not been easy for me. Your father is not the man I thought he was, and if I had known more about his character, perhaps I would never have agreed to come to your estate. You are the only purpose that keeps me here. Yesterday, when I saw you so unprotected, so weak and hurting, I wanted so much to help you, but I am not sure I can. I do have compassion for your sorrow. Perhaps we could begin again in true friendship. Victor paused for a moment, drew a breath, and continued. Tell me more about the old priest who held you as a father when you were crying frantically yesterday. I would like to befriend you and learn more about you. May we be friends, Anna? Victor placed his arm on her shoulder in reassurance and felt her tension relax. So immediately he properly withdrew himself from her, which was not easy for him to do.